I want to welcome everybody, and I'm Ben Cohn from Future Technologies, and we're pleased to have you guys join us today for an FTI Catalyst pre-built dashboards for healthcare demonstration. As I've mentioned a couple times, this should be an interactive presentation, so Dr. Romano, if you have questions, please chat with Chuck, and Tim, if you have any questions, just go ahead and interject, and I'm sure we'll be happy to address them. We'll also have additional time for questions at the end. So our presentation today is about how to accelerate ROI using FTI Catalyst, and that's what it was designed for. FTI Catalyst is a quick win kickstart of your healthcare analytics that should get you up to speed and into ROI faster than any comparable dashboard and with a real broad landscape. So how did Future Technologies come to develop this type of solution? FTI has been delivering system integration solutions for over 17 years. Our team's completed over 300 projects. We are experts in data management, system integration, business intelligence. Not only do we provide implementation, migration, architecture services, database upgrades, but we deliver complete solutions. So should your enterprise require data integration, data warehouse design, data warehouse redesign, we've done that. If you need ad hoc reporting or an OLAP cube or scorecarding, we've done that and have use cases using our own proven Devo maturity model, which is design, implement, visualize, and optimize. So as we noticed a need in healthcare for this type of quick win solution, we applied our expertise in data management to a healthcare solution that was built using our vast experience in healthcare. And that came to us from Dan Gerena. Dan Gerena is our product manager and a former BI and analytics director for a major New York hospital system. He spent over 13 years with around 4 additional team members to develop FTI Catalyst. And these projects usually require months, if not years, teams of people, expanded budgets, and several iterations to develop a core set of metrics that will start creating operational improvements and cost reductions in a real short time period. Dan took the time to develop that before he joined us, and his organization went from a $60 million loss to $30 million in profit, due in part to enhanced ability to measure and monitor results and hold individuals accountable to those results. So it now gives me pleasure to turn the presentation over to Dan Gerena, our product manager, and he'll give you some more details on how to use Catalyst to accomplish that. Dan, it's all yours.
Thank you, Ben. So my name is Dan Gerena, as Ben mentioned, 13 years every day, day in and day out at a 5-hospital healthcare system in Buffalo, New York. We had 4 adult acute hospitals and the region's only pediatric hospital, and everything that comes with a complicated healthcare organization, emergency departments, labs, radiology, etc., off-site clinics. And so my main responsibility there for 13 years was essentially to serve as the liaison between the business users from the executive suite down to back office staff, and work with them in understanding what their needs were, why they needed certain attributes to do their job effectively, and I would partner with my IT counterparts to get that data into a single data repository, and I would manage that data warehouse within my team, and then build the dashboards that allowed the business to consume that information and to do their own respective jobs more effectively. So that's what I did every day, all day, for a 13-year period before joining FTI. So what we're really going to do today is walk through first the concept of what Catalyst is, and then secondly jump into the tool set itself so you can see the functionality and capabilities of it. So let me explain first what Catalyst is. So as I mentioned, I spent 13 years at a healthcare organization and iteratively and slowly determining what were the data needs we had and starting with a single subject area at first and then expanding on it over time. And so essentially what that allows me to do today is to leverage that expertise of having already crossed those bridges. And so we really took the concept from the perspective at FTI of if a healthcare organization were to hire me tomorrow, where would they start? What would those metrics be? How would we build them? What attributes would we capture in order to do the math and calculations to be able to present that information to the data consumers within an organization? So that's really the concept of what we did. So in order to do that, we did the following. I designed a data model with about 15 or 16 fact and dimensional tables that capture all the relevant attributes we need to capture. On top of that, I built the logic that allows the calculations and math to occur, the relationships between the various objects in the data model, and all of the drill paths and hierarchies. And then finally, that layer of the dashboards, which I'll jump into in about a minute or so, where the users actually log in and obtain their information so they can do their jobs more effectively. So everything you see on screen in purple is pre-built. The only thing we need to work with you on is to determine what your source systems are. So our solution is source system agnostic. Whether you have Cerner, whether you have Epic, whether you have Lawson, doesn't make a difference. You're capturing all of the same relevant attributes that we have represented in our data model. So we work with you to do the ETL portion of the process, which is to extract the data from where your data lives, to do any manipulation to it as we need to once we extract it, and then to load it into our data model. So alongside of that process is we offer support services. So in the event, for instance, you don't have an ETL developer on staff, or you need folks who need to own the process once our engagement is done of building out dashboards themselves, etc. We can support all of that from a technology perspective as well, from a technical skill set perspective as well throughout the process. So the objective of Catalyst is to get a rapid implementation of a comprehensive balanced scorecard deployed in your organization in a very small window of time, and not the 13 years that it took iteratively to get us there in my former life. So that conceptually is what Catalyst represents. So let me walk through an example of for instance, this is one of the tables in our data model that captures at the patient encounter level a number of attributes. So if you can see on screen, we capture demographic information such as address, gender, whether they're a smoker or not. We capture clinical attributes such as their principal diagnosis, principal procedure. We capture physician-related information such as the various physicians that touched this patient, the respective DRGs, the payer mix, financial class, and then we capture financial information such as total charges, total payments, costs, etc. So this one fact table will drive a lot of the reporting that we'll see, but we have 14 others like it that capture relevant information at various levels of granularity. So that includes charge level detail in a separate fact table. That includes primary and secondary diagnoses, primary and secondary procedures. So there are a lot of relevant clinical and financial information captured in a single data repository. Now, even though everything I showed you on the prior slide in terms of the data model and the dashboards is pre-built, that doesn't mean that you're stuck with what we deploy on day one. So the beauty of all of this is it's fully customizable. So if you determine that, let's say for instance you have a bariatric center of excellence in your organization, and you want to capture body mass index on every patient, or you want to capture whatever attribute you may want to capture, you have full control to customize the data model. So you can add fields over time as you need them. You don't have to ask us to, add that at some future date, and we'll say, yeah, we'll get to it. You own it as soon as we deploy it. Same is true for the dashboard layer that you'll see in a second. All of those dashboards you can reconfigure. You can create your own dashboards. You can rearrange the dashboards. You can add additional prompting for your users. You can add additional reports to drill to from a summary level to a more detailed level. So even though a lot of that is already pre-built on day one, you have full control over that. And that's important because healthcare is a rapidly evolving and changing industry, and your needs today are going to be different than your needs in 3 years and 10 years out. So that's an important distinction to make. So I'll just jump ahead. This particular slide represents what your users see when they enter our tool. So we have a landing page, and we put all of our metrics in one of 4 modules: financial, operational, quality, and staffing. So you have all of this good information. It's organized in a manner that's intuitive for your users. They know exactly where to go when they need certain types of reports. You see over on the right in development, we're also building out a very robust emergency department dashboard as a fifth module, and that's going to focus a lot on when patients are arriving, on throughput, on the percent of patients that get admitted from the ED, on the percent of patients that leave the ED before treatment is completed. A lot of good information around the emergency department, because if you think in terms of your hospitals and how they make money, a large driver is naturally admissions, and a large driver of your admissions is the operating room and the emergency department. So first we're going to tackle the emergency department and build out a robust set of dashboards for that, as well as then tackling from an operating room perspective those. So that's in development, just so you're aware. So here's the main landing page, and as I said, you're just a click away from any of this content. I'm going to jump into the profitability dashboard and just sort of give you a walkthrough of functionality in terms of the tool set itself. So we're using Oracle Enterprise Edition, which is the best-in-breed tool set, and we're using visual best practices to display the information. So at the very top of every dashboard, you see a lot of prompting. So the intent of that is to have one single tool set and one single destination for whatever subject matter you're looking to investigate, regardless of what your role is in the organization. So if you're the chief of orthopedics, for instance, you're going to look at orthopedic surgery. If you are in charge of cardiac, you may look at your cardiac product lines. If you are the chief operating officer for a hospital, you may look at all product lines for a particular hospital, etc. So there's a lot of built-in functionality where I can see certain specific physicians. I can see information by whatever attribute you can think of. And again, you fully control all of this in terms of the layout and functionality. So if you wanted to add another prompt for another totally different attribute, you can do that. And it's a GUI tool. It literally take you a minute to do. Assuming whatever you wanted to prompt by is captured in the data model, it's very easy to do. So we prompt, obviously, for a number of different things: date range, product line, etc. So that allows all walks of the organization, regardless of what their role is in the organization, to have one destination to get to, and in this case, the subject matter is profitability by product line, so we can see all of that. So that's, I just wanted to point that out. In terms of functionality as well, we're looking here at a scatter plot. So each individual dot is a patient. So naturally, I'm not concerned about this cluster here. That's where the average patient resides. I'm more so concerned about the outliers. So here I have a particular patient who is highly profitable. We had $27,000 in charges and $15,000 in profit margin on this particular patient. And then here I see the inverse, where I had $78,000 in gross charges and I lost $7,500 on that particular patient. So the intent of this is really to focus in from a 50,000 foot perspective to say, where do I need to focus my attention? It does me no good to see 4,000 records in a table. I really want to focus on the outliers. I want to focus on the trends over time, that sort of thing. So that's really how we built this tool, is with that philosophy of let's show the information from 50,000 feet so people can understand and then make a decision as to where they want to go. So what I did by clicking on that one dot was jump specifically to that patient where I lost all of that money. I lost that $7,500 on this particular patient. So that functionality is pre-built in Catalyst. Even though when you land on a page you get a rich set of information, underneath the hood there's a lot of information that allows you to further understand what you're seeing at that top layer. Additionally, here I'm looking at a scatter plot, but you have the ability, we built in these view selectors here. So instead of looking at it, a scatter plot by individual patient, I can instead look for, again, I'm looking at a 4-month period for orthopedic surgical patients. I can see by all the individual DRGs that make up orthopedic surgical, broken out by my East versus West hospital, what the patient volume was and what the aggregate profitability was for those respective patients. So same information, just a totally different angle of it, So to answer a total different set of questions, for instance, why do I have so much volume here and none here? Why am I more profitable here and less profitable here, etc. So you can answer a whole different host of questions with the alternate views of the information. Same information again, but instead of by DRG, it's summarized by month, by hospital. So any questions so far in terms of the functionality and the parameterization and the view selectors? Now, over to the right, we have aggregate information. So again, this entire page is looking at the same slice of information, but from various perspectives. So here I'm looking at net aggregate profitability broken out by hospital over time. So for this 4-month period, I can see my West Hospital, which is my yellow line, versus my East Hospital, and I can see how those are trending over time in terms of profitability. Below that, same information trended over time, but the number of cases, so the discharges by month broken out by hospital. And then finally, we went from the 50,000-foot view down to the patient encounter view with this one. So this is sorted from least profitable patient to most profitable patient. So I can see as soon as I land on the page, I can see the top 10 patients that I lost the most money on. You notice that I have little arrows here. I can click one of those and see the top 10 most profitable patients with just one click. And I can export the whole thing to Excel and see the entire subset of patients and their respective profitabilities. So our intent is to embed as much functionality as possible into these dashboards so your users can actually answer the questions you need them to ask and answer and then take action on that. Now, so I've spoken a little bit about one particular subject area. There are over 20 subject areas, so I won't go through each of them. We won't have enough time. So let me open it up in terms of are there any specific types of subject matter anyone wants to see? I'll jump to our quality dashboard. As I mentioned, we have a balanced scorecard approach. We were on the financial dashboard. Now we're on the quality dashboard. So under quality, we have a number of dashboards focused around quality-related metrics. This one, for instance, is focused on mortality rate. So we're taking a look at all the patients that expired relative to total patient volume and how that trends over time. Same functionality in terms of the ability to drill into that and see those specific patients, who their physicians were, what the DRGs were, what the length of stay was, risk of mortality, etc. So that one, this particular dashboard is really focused on patient expirations and trying to understand that by severity of illness, by age demographic, etc. We also have dashboards that focus on readmission rates, so 30-day readmissions, to understand who those patients are, who the physicians are, what are the DRGs that each of the encounters that a readmitted patient has, and the ability to understand that by product line. When you compare the first discharge to the second discharge, you can determine, sort of weed out the false positives and understand, okay, this vascular surgery patient, these 7 patients were initially discharged for a vascular surgery DRG, so I probably want to investigate those further and understand the root and try to determine root cause to prevent readmissions from happening in that particular case, because it probably has a clinical related root cause. We also have information in regards to complications in terms of whether or not they were present on admission or not, and that again is broken out by particular product lines. So I can see a summary on the left of all my product lines and then look at a specific product line here for whatever date range I determine and see all of those complications. So that's sort of an example of what we have built in terms of the quality dashboard, are a lot of those metrics that have an impact, obviously on patient satisfaction, obviously on quality, as well as tethered to financial implications. So as you know, readmissions have a financial implication now. Complications mean patients stay longer and they're less satisfied, etc. So that's sort of a quick synopsis of what we have. We really focused on the metrics that for instance, length of stay, readmission rates, things that really have a significant impact on the operations and finances of a hospital that really aren't being addressed out of the box by those types of systems that you already have on site. I'll just jump to show you an example of an operational dashboard, which focuses on the operations of a hospital. Let's take a look at, for instance, length of stay. So under length of stay, naturally we have it broken out by month, by hospital, and I have the ability to look at a particular hospital, for instance the East Hospital, and drill down to nursing unit perspective, so I can look at the next layer down, so I can see for this particular hospital by nursing unit, how many cases they had discharged each month and the respective length of stay. And naturally, one click later, I can drill to the patient level detail if I wanted to. So length of stay, we have a lot of good information to understand what the drivers are, length of stay, whether it be by nursing unit, whether it be by physician. So on the left-hand side, we have the discharge length of stay. On the right-hand side, we have the in-house length of stay. So all the patients who are not yet discharged, we can take a look at who those patients are, what their admitting diagnosis is, who their physicians are, what their current length of stay is, and we also take a look from a discharge perspective, not only the encounter's length of stay, but as well as what time of day are those patients being discharged. So you can see, for instance, that 2 p.m. is when the majority of patients get discharged from the East Hospital, and naturally that is a bit of a bottleneck issue for this hospital, because the majority of their admissions come in the morning via scheduled surgery, or the majority of the patients arrive between the 10 and 11 a.m. hour in the emergency department. And so naturally, if the patients who are scheduled to go home that day aren't going home until after 2 p.m., that creates an issue in terms of capacity and bed utilization. So we focus a lot on the operational dashboard in terms of understanding where our discharges are coming from, what is driving length of stay, and really understand, once your organization understands those metrics, you can then develop processes and protocols to change behavior, to change the trajectory of what's happening. And these dashboards naturally serve as a way to monitor progress going forward once you make those changes.